You have, when we're doing the sword fingers, and that at the end, what exactly are we doing? Are we feeding an energy or?
Who knows? So they're called the Hastakaras. There's many, many different movements. They're generally working with the nadis in the arms to the fingertips. So you're trying to move from the center out, and of course each of the fingers relate to different organs. They relate to different planets. You've got a lot of representations of the internal body on the hands and the feet, and so that's kind of what you're stimulating. You'll have to do them for a while to get a more internal experience of what that translates for you. Okay, but if you look at the pattern of the nadis into the fingertips and the meridians as well, they're both run down the back of the arm into the fingertips and the front of the arm to the fingertips. They're associated with different organs, as I said, the planets, and even the elements. So you're stimulating quite a lot just by moving your arms in a very deliberate, subtle way. Okay? Yeah. Anybody else got a question before we start on what we did yesterday?
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the squatting positions that we do, for example, in the horse, how do we, while I was practicing on my own, I have noticed that there's two ways that I can press down through my legs. So one was a deliberate, a very strong press down, but then it takes a lot of energy out of my legs and I feel more tired. And then another one, if I just, as you say, relax on my legs, and I wasn't sure which one to go for. Should I really stay strong and press down strongly, or should I just allow myself to squat without engaging my feet too much, if that makes sense?
Okay, that's a good question. So firstly, it depends on whether you are squatting dynamically, as in you're coming in and out, up and down, or whether you're just squatting and staying static. If you're static, then you most definitely relax on your bones, relax on your feet. You try not to engage the flesh, but you have to keep the spine upright. If you're pumping the legs, so if you're coming up and down, inhale up, exhale down, then you do have to engage the bones, otherwise you'll stress the lumbar. Yeah, so you have to press down to come up. Yeah. If your knees are bent in the likes of horse, for example, then you want to try, and you're staying static, then you want to try to relax onto the feet. You want to minimize engaging particularly the thigh muscles and the buttocks. If you're pumping the legs, again, if you're straightening the legs and then bending again, same principle applies. You have to press into the feet, stress the bones to come up, whether it's a high squat like a horse or whether it's a low squat like we were doing yesterday. Generally speaking, in the more traditional or classic yoga postures like Trikonasana, Virabhadrasana, etc., the standing poses, there is the principle of pressing the bones down into the floor, particularly if the legs are straight. And that's to create a press rebound principle. So as you press down through the bones, you can engage the muscles, the flesh, upwards and inwards. Yeah? And that tends to create a more lengthening of the spine, whether it's to go forward, to go to the side, or just to be upright. So that's a little bit different than if you're squatting and if you're lunging. Squatting and lunging, typically the principle is that you're stressing the bones. So you're relaxing as you go down onto the feet and you're pressing down through the feet to come up. If you're static, it's different. You either have to try to relax fully on the bones if the knees are bent. If the legs are straight, generally you want to be able to press down and then lengthen upwards. Because if the legs are straight and you just press down and there's no rebound, then you don't lengthen the spine. So there's two slightly different viewpoints there, if that makes sense. Okay? Anybody else got a question?
So then, second part of that question I had. So because I often get pain, I wouldn't say often, but after a lot of lunges, I get pain in the right side of my lumbar spine. And I believe this is because I'm not engaging my legs correctly. So either in the squats or in the lunges. So that it kind of gets compressed and then it's more like a muscular tension.
Yeah, remind me, Erica, do you have slight scoliosis of the spine?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so that explains it. And does the curve tend to go to the left or to the right?
It goes to the right.
Yeah, so that would make sense. So your right side is nearly always, to a degree, I don't like using the word always because it means always, but most of the time will likely overcompensate because of that excessive curl on the right side. So you just have to manage that and try not to overdo it, maybe do a little bit less sometimes, pay a little bit more attention to pressing down to come up, and notice what area on the right side in particular tends to grip excessively. Is it the buttock, the thigh, the lumbar? Usually that's what shows up. It's trying to protect you, but it's probably overworking a little bit, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also in the Paschimottanasana then, that's the third question. Okay, I have forgotten. Let's say when we are folding forward, again, it seems that I'm folding forward and I'm engaging my lumbar spine too much, and then thoracic is somewhere at the very end when the lumbar is already overburdened.
Okay, that's still going to relate to the scoliotic process there, because of course any kind of extension with the spine is going to ask that right side to possibly do a little bit more than it wants to. So that's one thing. So you have to find the balance between lengthening the front body in Paschimottanasana and taking the kidneys back. If you just take the kidneys back, you're going to end up rounded. If you just take the chest forward, you're going to end up jamming the lumbar. So there's a balance between the two, where the hips are sitting down and moving slightly back, and then the spine is lengthening forward, and the waist is moving back. So there's a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, yesterday when you put the blanket in order to lean forward on the belly,
yes,
or in front of the belly, will that help?
Yeah, it should.
It
It should help, because it'll take stress off the lumbar. And that's one of the reasons why I asked you to put it there, was because it was less of extending forward in that movement, and it was more about taking the waist back so you could feel the fullness in your kidneys. Yeah. So when you put the blanket here, and it gives you a prop, if you like, to prop up the rib cage on the legs as you go forward, whether it's in a child pose position like yesterday, or whether it's in a forward bend. So yeah, use that and see. That'll give you an indicator, because it's not going to let you go any further, and it's going to protect the lumbar, and see if that helps you. Yeah, because you're quite open in the joint, so you have the flexibility to go forward, but you have to monitor how much is enough for you, particularly with the scoliosis. And even when you're flexible, particularly if it's in the joints, then you have to engage the body even more to protect it, because the joints will overwork for you. Okay?
Got it. Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
So then, but I'm sure it's all related to all of my questions now. So in Padmasana, when I have my right leg in first, and then the left one on top. Now I do have the same problem in terms of lumbar spine. But I'm I'm just thinking whether there's something that I can put under the knee.
Yeah, well, look, to be honest, you could relate your first question to all the poses we're talking about. Anything that's going to require your lumbar to work is going to ask you to figure out what's the best position for my body to do the basic structure of the pose and protect my spine at the same time, because of the nature of the curve. So if your knees are bent, if your legs are straight, if you're in Padmasana or Paschimo, you're going to have to find a way to protect your lumbar so you're not overworking it. And I can't give you an exact answer to that, because it's your body, and you have to figure out, well, what's enough prop? Do I lift the leads all the way up? Do I put a blanket? Is it a brick? You have to figure that out for yourself. Okay? Anyone else?
Yes, Dave, I have it. It's less of a question or more of a request, which is, the first two mudras we've been practicing more or less from the beginning of this.
Yes, so the yoni and the lingam.
Yeah, I've lost the capacity. I've just how to do them has just disappeared out of my mind.
You're not alone, Maria. You're not alone.
So when we come to do them later on today or whatever point, if you could just give them more specific instruction, just so I could just learn it again, because it's just gone completely from me.
That's okay. The other thing is they are on the last. I think it was a June weekend, so it should be on there in the recordings.
Okay, well I can go back to that too.
Yeah, if I have time, I'll certainly do it. But if I'm pushed for time, you might have to just go back over the recordings. Okay.
Thanks. Thank
Sure.
you.
Sure. Anybody else before we start?
So may I just finish with my question, please?
You didn't finish. Okay, go ahead.
No, my internet got kicked out. So yeah, so the question was whether I should put something under the knee in Padmasana to elevate myself and to...
Okay, I answered that question, but you obviously disappeared.
I didn't hear it.
So you have to figure out for yourself, well, how much of a prop you need, whether it's a forward bend, whether it's lotus, or any position that requires you to strain your lumbar slightly. You have to figure out, what do I need? Do I need a blanket? Do I need a brick? What support do I need to sit on in order to keep my hips grounded, keep a length in the spine, and go forward without overusing the lumbar? Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so let's go, folks. So I'll get you to lie on your bolster again, if you have one. So you can lie in either Supta Baddha Konasana or Supta Sukhasana. So either shins parallel or balls of the feet together. If you don't have a bolster, fine. If you have a blanket, you can tri-fold the blanket like we've done before, or you can just lie on your back. Make sure that there's a little gap between your sacrum and the bolster if you're using one. That the buttock flesh is moving towards the feet. If you can have a lift in your head, great. Have a blanket under or something under the head so that basically the brain should be a little higher than the heart should be a little higher than the belly, if you have the props to do that. If you don't worry about it. Then you're going to place both hands either side of the navel. Downward facing triangle, representing the Kanda or the Tantien. Now lightly place the tongue in position behind the upper ridge of the teeth, keeping your jaw relaxed. Relax the corners of the lips. Already invite a smile to your face. Let the upper jaw rest on the lower jaw. Relax around the eyes. Soften the forehead. And just start to breathe slowly and gently into your belly before I set you up for the sipping the breath. So I'll just remind you what you're doing because one or two of you weren't here yesterday. The rest of you can just breathe quietly into your belly, particularly your lower belly, so between the navel and the perineum. So I'm going to take you through an adaptive Taoist practice of breathing into the organs. We'll start with the belly, we'll move to the liver, we'll move to the spleen, to the lungs, and then to the kidneys. When you're inhaling, I'm going to ask you to break your inhale into pieces. So you're going to take a small sip of breath in, you're going to pause, and then take another small sip in, pause, another small sip in, pause, maybe 4 or 5 sips. Doesn't matter the number, don't get attached to the number. Just a comfortable Number of breaths within one breath. So inhale, sit, pause, inhale, sit, pause, inhale, sit, pause. We'll do that a number of rounds, and then I'll ask you to inhale fully into the organ that we're working with, exhale fully, and we'll bring in a couple of aspects to that like we did yesterday, the color of the organ that's associated with that organ, and also the attributes, both the emotions and the virtues. We'll look to enforce the virtues and let go of any emotions. So, starting with the belly, exhaling fully towards the pelvic floor. Start to inhale, small sip, pause. Take another small sip, pause. Another small sip, pause. One more small sip, pause, and then slowly exhale, exhale, exhale all the way to empty. Focus from the perineum to the pubic bone first. Small sip, pause. Pubic bone to the navel, small sip, pause. Navel, small sip, pause. And then anything's left above the navel, small sip, pause, and then fully, slowly exhaling. On the empty, again, start from the bottom, the pelvic floor. Inhale, small sip to the pubic bone. Small sip, pause, pubic bone to navel. Small sip, pause, navel. Small sip above the navel, pause. One more if you have it, otherwise just start to exhale. As you're inhaling, inhale a golden bright light into your lower abdomen. Each inhale, focus on a golden light. Small sip, pause. Small inhale, golden light, pause. And as you're exhaling, picture a grey, murky color, expelling any unnecessary toxicity, mental, physical, emotional. Continue a few more rounds at your own rhythm. Small sip, pause, until you feel the belly. With the inhale, focusing on that bright golden light coming into the belly, like golden sunshine. On the exhale, expelling that grey, murky color, releasing any unwanted patterns, emotions, negativity. We'll do a couple more rounds. Then fully exhaling that grey, murky color. Then a full inhalation as you fill the belly below the navel, above the navel, and with that bright golden light. Inhale, fill the belly with the golden light. Exhaling that grey, murky color, releasing, letting go of any excess waste. Take a few rounds like that. Full inhale into the belly, below the navel, above the navel, to the sides of the navel, behind the navel. Breathing in all directions into the belly. Exhaling, releasing grey, murky color. One more like that. And as you're exhaling that final exhale, grey, murky color, let your right hand come up towards your right ribcage, your liver. Let your left palm come to the floor. If you want to put it on the thigh, that's fine. It's just out of the way. So you're just focusing on the right hand. So exhale fully below the navel to the perineum. And a small sip into the liver, pausing. Small sip, pausing. Small sip, pausing. Small sip, pausing. And exhaling fully, that grey murky color. Exhaling fully. Now the liver associated with green light. So bright green light, small sip in, green light. Pausing, small sip in, pausing. Small sip in, pausing. One more small sip in, pausing. Bright green light surrounding the liver. Then exhale that grey murky color. Expelling emotions associated with anger, jealousy, frustration. And then I'm fully exhaling. Inhale again, small sip in a green light. Pause. Small sip in, green light. Pause. Small sip. Hold. Small sip. Hold. Feel the whole liver full of green light. And exhaling. Releasing, letting go of any anger, jealousy, frustration. And then take a few rounds yourself, that small sip into each part of the liver. The liver's big, it's the size of your hand and even bigger. So you can feel like you're taking the breath all around the hand, even slightly to the left across the navel. Sipping in the breath, sipping in the green light, encasing the liver with that bright green light. Exhaling, expelling, releasing, letting go of any anger, jealousy, frustration. Plenty of things to be frustrated at the moment, so let that go. Couple more rounds. Inhaling that bright green light. Small sip and hold. Exhaling fully all the way out, that grey, murky color. So finishing the one that you're beginning or the one that you're on. Fully exhaling that grey, murky color. And then next, inhale, a full inhale into the liver, that bright green light. Inhaling the virtues of kindness, generosity, forgiveness into the liver. Exhaling, expelling any anger, frustration, jealousy. Taking a few full, deep breaths of green light into the liver, inviting that kindness, the virtues of forgiveness, generosity. Forgetting, letting go of the emotions of anger, frustration, jealousy. Take a few more breaths in that way. Then exhaling fully all the way to empty, that grey murky color as you switch hands, so place the left hand to the left side of the ribs, right arm by the side, palm up. Left side is the spleen, the stomach. It's a yellow golden light, so exhaling fully. Such a yellow light, isn't it? And that small sip in as you inhale that yellow light, pausing. Inhale a small sip, pausing. Inhale a small sip, pausing. And inhale a small sip, pausing. Exhaling slowly, that grey, murky color. Releasing, letting go of any worry, any resentment, any mistrust. And again, as you inhale that yellow light associated with the element of earth, pausing, small sip in, pausing, small sip in, pausing, and a small sip in, pausing, exhaling fully, slowly, a grey, murky color, releasing, letting go of any worry, any mistrust, any resentment, leaving the body back to Mother Earth. She likes to take the negative emotions, recycles them. Inhaling a small sip, yellow light, pausing, small sip, pausing, small sip, pause, and one more small sip, pausing, exhaling that grey, murky color, releasing, letting go, any worry, resentment, mistrust. So maybe for a few rounds yourself, in that way, small sip, bring in that yellow light, slight pause, another small sip. And again, the stomach, the spleen, roughly the size of your hand, the two of them. So you can picture that, bring the breath into that space, the size of your hand, into the left rib cage, bright yellow light. Expelling, letting go, releasing any worry, mistrust, any resentment. And finish the one you're about to start or the one you're on. Exhaling fully that grey, murky color, releasing the emotions of worry, resentment, mistrust, and full slow inhalation, that yellow, bright yellow light, fully encasing the stomach, spleen, and bring in the virtues of trust, fairness, openness. Exhaling that grey, murky light, any residual feelings of worry, resentment, mistrust. Full deep inhalation into the stomach, spleen, inviting the virtues, trust, openness, fairness. Full exhale, a grey, murky color. Take a few more full breaths in that way. Embracing those virtues, openness, fairness, trust. Forgive, forget, let go of any mistrust, any resentment, any worry. Last couple breaths, take your time. Remember that smile as you bring in that bright light, smile into the organ, smile with the organ. And exhaling fully and completely. Move up to the lungs. So if you take both hands either side of the chest, maybe on top of the nipple line, wherever's comfortable to let your elbows relax. Exhaling fully. Lungs associated with the white light. So exhale fully, then taking a small sip in of white light into the lower lung, pausing. Small sip, lower lung, pausing. Small sip, middle long, pausing. Small sip, middle long, pausing, and then finally another small sip into the upper lung, pausing, exhaling a grey, murky colour, releasing, letting go of any feelings of sadness, any grief or depression. Fully exhale, and then inhaling a small sip of white light, small sip, pause, small sip, pause, small sip, pause. If you've any left, up into the upper lobe of the lung, small sip, and exhaling slowly. Control the exhale as you release, let go of any sadness, any grief, any depression. Small sip in, white light, lower lung first. Small sip in, pause. Small sip in, middle lung, middle lobe. Small sip in, pause. Then finally upper lung, small sip in, pausing. Exhaling slowly that grey, murky colour. Releasing, letting go, any sadness, any grief, or any depression. Continue like that in your own rhythm. Lower lobe of the lung first, middle lobe, upper lobe, sip and pause, sip and pause. Inviting that bright, white light to surround your lungs, related to the element metal. Exhaling fully as you release, let go of any sadness, any grief, or any depression. Continue for a couple of rounds. Remember to smile into the lungs, keeping a slight smile at the corner of the lips, and then with the inhale, smiling, a bright white light into the lungs. Releasing the grey, murky colour, the sadness, any grief, any depression. And finishing the round you're on. Fully exhale, all the way down below the navel. And filling the lung, the lower lung, the middle and upper with that bright white light as you fully inhale, no pausing. Filling the lung with the virtues of courage, sincerity, integrity. Exhaling that grey, murky colour, any residual feelings of sadness or grief or depression. Inhaling full breath of white light, embracing your courage, embracing your integrity, your sincerity in the lungs. Exhaling that grey, murky colour. Continue at your own rhythm for a few breaths. Inviting that smiling white light into your lungs. Inviting the virtues of courage, integrity, sincerity. Exhaling, letting go. Forgive, forget, let go of any sadness, any grief, any depression. We'll do one more round at your own rhythm. Exhaling fully, completely, grey, murky colour. Take a normal inhale, normal exhale, a few normal breaths. finishing with the kidney, which means we'll have to change position. So when you're ready, just release your legs out straight, release your strap if you're using one. Just make your way slowly onto your side. Right side would be good. Either side is fine though. Just take a moment's pause there. And when you're ready to sit up slowly. So just to remind you, those of you who were here yesterday, so with the kidneys, you want to have space that you can fill the kidneys. So if you have the blanket, we used it yesterday, you rolled it up, a couple rolls, 2 or 3 rolls is probably enough. Take it into the belly, keep your feet together so the ankles are touching, and you're going to go forward. Now if you have a bolster, you can use it. If you don't have a bolster, you can use your fists. Ideally, you want to be up a little bit higher so that so you can breathe. So we did this yesterday where you had your head turned, but you probably noticed it's a bit harder to breathe that way. So if you stay up a little bit higher, the hands on the kidneys, so that your nostrils are free, you can hopefully breathe. Yeah. If you don't have a blanket, don't worry, just lean forward. If you don't have props, that's fine. You can even just stay upright, but you need to round your back so that there's a fullness in the kidneys. That's the main thing, that there's a fullness there. So if you don't have any of those props, you can just sit up like this. It's a bit of a slouch, but it's about the kidneys not sitting upright. Yeah? So you have a couple of options there. So if you can come down onto the prop, under the forehead, soften the skin towards the nose, one hand on each kidney. I'll ask you to keep it there for the first part, and then you can relax the arms for the second part. So when you're ready, slow, exhale all the way to empty. From empty, small sip into the kidneys, blue light. Inhale, pause. Inhale, pause. Inhale, pause. And maybe one more. Inhale, pause. That blue light filling the kidneys. Then exhale, that gray, murky color. Emotion associated with the kidneys of fear, paranoia, and trauma. Exhaling fully, pause. Short breath in, inhale, pause, small sip in, blue light, pause, small sip in, fill the hands with your breath, pause, maybe one more, pause, exhale, that grey, murky color, forgive, forget, let go of any fear, any trauma, any paranoia, fully empty. Again, small sip in, blue light into the kidneys, into the hands, small sip in, pause, small sip in, pause, small sip in, pause. Exhaling slowly, that grey, murky color. Release, let go of any fear, any trauma, any paranoia. At your own rhythm, small sip in and pause, fill the kidneys. Kidneys roughly the size of our ears, so it's small enough, but so if you fill the palms, at least fill the belly of your hands with your breath. Small sip and pause, so you feel that full blue light surrounding the kidneys. Exhale, surrender, let go of any fear, any trauma, any paranoia. Few rounds there. If you want to let go of your hands, you're welcome to relax the shoulders now, bring your hands in front. And just keep your attention, your breath in that area where your hands are touching. If it helps to keep the hands there, that's fine too. If you're relaxed there, that's fine. Inhaling a bright blue light with those small sips. Exhaling that grey, murky color. Let it go, any fear, any trauma, any paranoia. Couple more rounds. fully exhaling. Inhaling that full inhale, full bright blue light into the kidneys. Inhaling the virtues of peacefulness, calmness, stillness. Exhale, release, let go of that grey murky colour, any fear, any residual trauma, any paranoia. Fill the kidneys with that bright blue light. Fill it with peacefulness, stillness, calmness. Exhale, release any fear, any trauma. Take a few deep breaths in that way, your own rhythm. Feeling that stillness, that calmness, peacefulness. Kidney relates to the element water, and the season is winter, so you can visualize a nice still lake like glass, calm and still. Inflating the kidneys with that beautiful blue light. And then exhaling fully and completely. You ready? Place the hands under the shoulders. Coming up slowly to sit up. So I'll ask you to just sit up on your heels, so feet together as you had them. Around the tops of the feet are pointing back. And we're going to place the hands to the belly. Generally the right hand first, ladies the left, but either way is fine. So now we're going to bring in that golden light into the glandular system. And then we'll finish with coming into the belly again. So we'll bring everything back into the center. We've gone through the individual organs and then we come back into the center. So bring your attention. You can even, I like to tap to the crown so it just reminds me of where I'm bringing my attention. You move along if you like from the eyebrow center all the way back. So we're stimulating the glands in the brain, of course, there's quite a few, there's at least 4. The pituitary in the front, the hypothalamus and thalamus in the center, and the pineal gland closer to the back. So when you're ready, you can just bring the hand back down. So keeping your attention towards the crown of the head, slightly behind the crown of the head, closer to the back of the head, the pineal glands, said to be shaped like a pine cone, giving its name. Sometimes you read it's like a P-shaped size. Either way, just visualize a small pine cone-sized gland in the back of the head, just more in line with the ears, and you're inhaling into that space of golden lights, bright golden lights. Pineal gland, of course, creates the hormone melatonin, relates to regulation of the sleep patterns, resting patterns. Inhaling that bright golden light into the pineal gland, back of the head, back of the brain. And then bring the attention a little bit forward at the back of the head to the center, just more in line with the tops of the ears, the crown of the head. Relates to the hypothalamus. Inhaling into the hypothalamus gland. Helps regulate all the hormones. Right at the top of the head. Bright golden sunshine right into the hypothalamus. This is the gland that links the nerves and the hormones. Smiling sunshine, bright golden light into the hypothalamus, the center of the brain. And then coming a little forward of the hypothalamus towards the forehead center is the pituitary gland, considered the master gland, which helps regulate all the other glands. And that's also a small P-shaped size. As you inhale that golden sunshine, golden light into the pituitary gland, right at the center of the forehead, center of intuition, intuitive thought, intuitive feeling. Encase the whole brain, the back, the middle and the front with that golden light, inhaling through the crown, eyebrow center. As you come down into the throat, into the thyroid glands, quite large glands either side of the throat. Of course, these regulate metabolism or ability to assimilate, and it's the only gland that can store the hormones. So inhaling into the thyroid glands, bright golden light, golden sunshine. Smile into your thyroid. It's like smiling to a loved one or a friend. Smiling golden sunshine into the thyroid gland and the glands in the brain. So you're just bringing the sunshine down, lower down from the top, down into the thymus gland, just above the heart. Regulates the lymphocytes, the T cells, 3 different hormones there that produce the defensive T cells for immunity, fighting disease. Smile into the thymus gland. Bright, golden sunshine. Bringing the sunshine, the golden light from the crown through the brain, the throat, down into the heart center. And then we move down to the top of the kidneys, that sit the adrenal glands, shaped a little like triangles or pyramids. Smile into the adrenal glands. Of course, help with the metabolism of glucose, sodium, potassium. Cultivate the adrenaline. Helps protect us in times of need or harm. Smiling into the adrenal glands, just above the kidneys. And then finally down from the kidneys, from the adrenal glands, down into the sexual ovaries for the ladies, the testes for the men. Of course, the ovaries, the cultivation of estrogen, progesterone. For the gents, testosterone, androgen. Smiling into the sexual organs. Golden sunshine, all the way from the crown of the head through the brain, the throat, the heart, above the kidneys, down into the base of the spine. Prostate gland for the men sitting just behind the bladder, behind your hands. Ovaries for the ladies. Smiling sunshine all the way down from the top to the bottom of the spine. We'll finish with the hands still on the navel. Bring your attention to the navel center. So bring in that golden sunshine one more time, finally back to where we began, into the center. And with you can move your hands if you like, if it helps you, or you can just move your mind around the navel. Ladies left to right, gents right to left. Small to big, small circle to big circle. 36 times from right to left, gents, left to right, ladies. And then you'll do 24 in the other direction, from big to small. Starting small to big, finishing big to small. Using your hands or your mind or both is fine. Changing direction if you haven't already. Big to small. 24 times. Keeping a smile in the corners of the lips, smiling sunshine down into the belly. Transmuting all those emotions we've talked about, released and let go of. Transforming those virtues associated with each organ. Embracing all the virtues as one. All organs working together like a team. And then when you're finished, just let the hands pause over the navel. Keep the face relaxed, smiling with the corners of the lips. Being aware of the sunshine and golden lights from crown to tail. The warmth behind the hands and the belly. And palms together with the heart. Just a moment of gratitude. You bend your head forward to yourself, taking the time to connect to the inner body, individually to the organs, and then collectively as a team, recognizing their functions, their devotion to keeping us alive without any reward. Be reminded to think of them often and send them smiling sunshine, treat them well. And not only pay attention to them when they need us, but maybe every day just a quick smile into the organs can be useful. Remind us they're part of us. When you're ready, release the hands, the eyes open slowly. So that was a nice practice. So we're going to move towards the standing when you're ready. So just take your time to come and stand up. Move your props to the side. I'm going to move my mat out of the way. Setup is okay. You can see me. Great. So it starts in Samapada. So heels together, big toes slightly apart, hands back below the navel. Relax on the feet. So again, the organs all represented in the feet. You want to feel like your left hand relaxed. It can spread. The feet can spread on the floor more. Then there's a firmness in the shin. So top of the shin moves back and down into the heel. Try to do this without gripping the thighs or the buttocks. Gently lengthen up through the base of the skull. Placing the tongue up against the upper palate. Relax the corners of the lips. Let your eyelids close for a moment. Smiling golden sunshine into the center of the brain, the forehead, crown of the head. Reconnecting with that golden light as it travels down the spine, the throat, the heart, kidneys, back into the belly. Relaxing any tension in the shoulders. Tension in the face. So be reminded of this feeling, this quality, as we practice dynamically, as you might find yourself challenged. See if you can find that stillness, that peacefulness again. Don't push yourself too strongly. Don't ask too much of yourself or expect too much. Lower the head forward. Would you let your eyes open gently, gazing down to the floor, and then as you inhale, let your hands lift, let your head lift. And exhale, hands down. We're going to separate the feet so heels stay together. Bend the elbows, hold the horizontal ball below the navel, and then you slowly bend the knees, keeping the heels in contact. Work the top of the shin, back and down, but let the balls of the feet relax and spread on the floor.